Hey guys, New Age Muscle here, and what I'm going to do in this video is basically walk you through my build. And instead of doing a build journal with a bunch of pictures and text, I figured I would do a video walkthrough of the different modifications I've made to this car over the past few years. This is a 2010, as you can see, with that is rally yellow. I have the factory matte stripes on it. And I'm just going to walk through some of the exterior stuff first and show you some of the stuff that I've done. First thing that's pretty evident is my wheels. You can see I am running the TSW Nürburgring. Taking a closer look, you will see these are a matte gunmetal finish. I did take the liberty to paint the center cap to match because the stock center cap for these comes in basically a machined look, which really doesn't fit the theme of my car. These are plus 35 offset front and rear. The plus 35 offset in the rear basically comes pretty much even to, you can see the lip of my wheel well. The plus 35 up front here kind of tucks under a little bit. This is available also in a plus 20 offset, which will basically pull the wheel outboard a little bit and come more even with that wheel well. As for tires, I'm running the Nitto Invos. I am running a 315 on the rear, and this is a 10-inch wheel. Up front, I am running a 275 on a 9-inch wheel. Some of the other stuff that I've done here, if you take a look, I did have my calipers powder coated by Mike Golding, who is the owner of Customs by Mike, the powder coater. These are done obviously in a red. I have the Brembo decal on there also that he put on. They came out beautiful. I highly recommend doing it. It's a little bit pricey, obviously cheaper to go with paint, but if you really want a flawless finish, you really cannot beat going with the powder coating. One of the other things I did when I had these powder coated, I did order the Granatelli drilled and slotted rotors. Kind of adds a nice touch to the look of the wheels with those Granatelli rotors. So you can see up here, same thing. I got these powder coated. Really a beautiful finish. Mike does really an excellent job. Some of the other stuff I want to point out that I did, one of my first mods is, if we come out back here, you'll see I do have a different spoiler on the car. I was never really a fan of the stock spoiler on this car. I really just didn't think it stood out enough. And so I went with what's known as the NLP, New Level Performance spoiler. And this spoiler, if you've never seen one in person, is actually very similar to what comes on the Slp ZL cars. And really what it does is takes the stock lines throughout this area and basically exaggerates it. This spoiler sits up probably about an inch and a half higher than the factory spoiler, but just utilizes pretty much the same lines. Now, some of the other things I did with this spoiler that you can see is I really like the look of the stripes going over the spoiler. So what I did is I ordered another set of the trunk stripes from the GM dealer, and I had a gentleman come out here and he wound up basically just putting the stripes on for me. So it really gives it a unique look, you know, compared to the factory stripes. I also had some other work done. I had him do the blackout kit on the rear, so you can see in the center there, and then also between my tail lights. I also had him do the blackout kit come around up front here. You can see in the headlight area. Now, these I ordered through Revolution Motorsports, so they are pre-cut. They come out real nice. They are a perfect fit. Speaking of vinyl, some of the other stuff that I had done is on the side gill area. These are from SLP, and there's several different ones like this on the market, but I gotta say, out of any of the ones that I've seen, the SLP ones really give you that true faded look. So if you're looking for a real nice gill sticker, I would highly recommend these. They are, I will say, double the price of some of the competitors out there, but I would definitely say for this look, you're going to get the best quality looking fade to that gill area. Some of the other stuff, if we come back around back, that I did is I went with the Spark Restorations SS badges. So that basically, you can see, eliminated my bow ties. I personally was really never a fan of the bow ties front and rear. I really like that traditional SS look on it. These are a pricey item. I want to say they were probably close to $300 for the set, but they really give it a distinct look that stands out from pretty much any of the Camaros that I see. There's really, I've really, around my area here in Michigan, have not seen any SS Camaros with these Sparks Restoration badges or emblems on them. So really is a cool look. Definitely, if you got the money, I highly recommend it. Coming around back again, if we take a look at my taillight area, one of the things I did up front, I initially did these with Plasti Dip, but my taillight bezels, you can see that I took them off and I have these painted a matte finish. Pretty much matches up to the blackout area in the center there, so it really fits the theme of the car nice. I also ordered the body color license plate frame through RPI, so it really doesn't stand out too much, kind of just blends right in with everything. So I really like that look. I used to have a black one on there, and this is just much more subtle. I like the look quite a bit. Coming up into the corner here, you'll see this is from Emblem Pros. I went with the custom LS3 supercharged badge, and they really have some nice products, and this thing is really nice quality. I would highly recommend dealing with them again. Also around back here, you're going to see I do have the quad exhaust tips. I actually picked this diffuser up from a member on Camaro 5 who had purchased a 1LE, and he decided to go with the ZL1 diffuser. So this was like about a week old. I picked it up from him, and then I wound up purchasing these quad tips. I cannot offhand remember who I got the quad tips through, but it is on my build thread. They're excellent quality. I did have, and I still do have, the Slp Loudmouth 2 on here, and if you take a look under the car, what I had done is I had this fabricated for my quad tips to fit. So really turned out nice. I really like the look. Adds a much more aggressive look to the car, in my opinion, than just the single exhaust did. Just moving along to the top here. My XM antenna here, I got that through Roger Chevrolet. I got that body color now. Initially that came just in the standard matte finish. And moving back up front here, just a couple of other things. I do have the Slp chin spoiler on the car. Adds a really nice touch to the car. Kind of pricey for a piece of plastic, but really what is not pricey for these cars. And for the last things I want to show you here, open the car up here and just turn on my lights. I'll start up front here again. I went with the plasma bulbs. I believe these are the P13, and they're available through AAC. And what's nice about these is it really matches your halo rings pretty darn close, versus the stock bulb really had more of a yellow tint to it. So this really matches up very well. And then coming around back, I also went with the Afterburner taillights, and this is probably one of my favorite things here, especially at night. It really stands out. Get a lot of compliments on these. It definitely is some work if you are going to do it yourself. I do have a write-up, if you take a look, under New Age Muscle on how I actually did these. They really stand out, though. I really love the look. Very happy with them. Other thing, let's see, some other stuff I did. I do have the windows tinted on the car. I'm running a 5% tint on the rear 3 windows. I'm running a 35% on the side. Other thing you'll notice if you take a look at my windshield area is I actually did a wiper delete. So this mod is probably not for everyone, but this car happens to be a garage queen, so I do not drive it ever in the rain. I do have Rain-X on the window just in case, just as a backup. And what I've done is just kind of plugged the mechanism here. You can, I don't know if you can make it out there, you can kind of see one of them. So I found some nice caps that actually fit right over the mechanism that actually supports the wiper itself. So that is pretty much the exterior of my car, unless I'm forgetting something. And I guess we can move right into the inside now. And taking a look at the inside, let me start off by shutting my lights off for a moment. I've not really done a whole lot in here. I've kind of kept pretty much the stock interior. I did go with the Lloyd floor mats with the Camaro SS embroidered. I also went with the SRP pedals and the dead pedal, along with the heel guard. So this is a real nice saver for your floor mats. I definitely recommend that if you're going to go with the pedals. Take a look at the heel guard. It's actually a very nice piece. Inside, some of the other things, her shifter. This is probably one of the earlier mods I did on my car when I first got it. I definitely like the shifter a lot more than the factory one. It definitely gives it a nice short throw. Some other things I did in here is, and this one might be kind of hard to see because it is a 2010, I do not have the heads-up display. So I went with the Emblem Pros where your adjustments for your heads-up display would be. There's actually kind of a void there, almost like they were preparing for it for the 2011 model. So it basically just says Camaro SS, 426 horsepower, which really is not the case with the horsepower anymore, but it just kind of fills that void up pretty nice. Now the last thing I did inside is I tapped right into my dome lighting, and I went with footwell lighting. And I can't remember the company offhand, but I found these, and they basically match the ambient lighting perfectly. So they are hooked up to my dome, so as soon as my lights go on, these automatically come on at night, and I can also control them with my dome, my dimmer switch, which is really nice. Adds a really nice touch at night when you're driving the car. So I think for the inside, that is about it. I have not really done anything else. So let's take a look under the hood and see what's going on under there. Alright, so taking a look under my hood, obviously the first thing you're going to see is my car is supercharged. I went with the Magnuson style Slp Tbs 2300 supercharger. This is the jack shaft style. The Slp does now have their own supercharger out, which does not have this jack shaft I'm referring to. I am running stock boost on this, but I do have a custom tune. So I believe these cars with the stock boost make somewhere around 6.5 pounds of boost. So I've not really altered it. I'm still running the stock pulley. The only thing I have done to this supercharger is I did go with the COG 1-to-1 ratio belt drive in the back, just to give it that little bit of added sound. So I really kind of like to hear the blower a little bit. In addition to the supercharger, I also went with the Slp Engine Covers. And these can actually be a pricey item. I've seen a lot of discussions on the forums about these guys. I've seen them as high as $700 unpainted. I was lucky enough to get these for around $300 unpainted, and then I had them painted myself. But they really finish off the engine nice, kind of cover up some of the unwanted stuff you may not want to see, but really adds a nice finishing touch to the car. I'm very happy with it. In addition to the supercharger, when I put it on, I did go with, I obviously changed my spark plugs, went to a different plug. I think they were actually the ones that come standard on the CTS-V and the ZL1, and the ZR1 for that matter. I also installed the Cooks, which are kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can get a little additional light here. I went with the Cooks 1 7/8 long tube headers. These are running through high flow cats. I also changed my wires over to the Taylor 409s, which is a very nice wire. It's kind of thicker in diameter than some of the other wires like the MSDs that you'll see out there. It actually gives you plenty of length to work with. That was one of the big factors. Some of the other wires I had looked at initially were just kind of short. They looked like they were overstretched, and these 409s just fit perfect in there. Other than that, my mid pipe on the car is the stock mid pipe, so I'm basically running through the Cook's 1 7/8 long tubes, and I have the SLP loudmouth 2 on the back. Now, some of the other stuff you'll see here is my cold air induction. I am running the roto-fab. This is definitely an early mod for me. I'm very happy with it. The construction of it is just awesome. I like the fact you can also get this in some of the body colors at least. It bolts right to the factory mounting points where the stock airbox would have bolted in, so it's really solid to the car itself. I'm also utilizing, which is kind of hard to see here, if I bring my light back over again, I am running the Apex race scoop, which is down there somewhere, kind of hard to see, which is actually another very nice product. It's, you know, when can cold air ever be bad for your car? So that's kind of nice, and that basically bolts down there. I had to kind of pull my wheel liner out, and basically that's right behind here, so it's basically a cold air feed. I also, at the time of installing that, I did do a windshield wiper bottle delete. I know they do make some relocation kits, but again, since I was in here deleting my wipers, which you can kind of get a better look at now, I decided to do away with the windshield wiper bottle. Let's see what else we did here. I do have the Elite Engineering Catch Can, and I just recently did a review on the Elite Engineering Catch Can, and I was quite impressed after 1,500 miles how much this thing actually picked up. Now, I've heard a lot of talk back and forth, pluses and minuses for these things. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to actually affect your engine, but I do know it's collecting oil, and if the oil is not going into the catch can, it's obviously going somewhere. And whether it's sitting in my intake is going to be bad or not, I'm really no expert on that, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. If we take a look here, some of the other stuff I did, you'll notice my throttle body. This is actually the stock throttle body, but what I did is I actually picked up some matte paint, and the finish on this is almost perfect for my supercharger housing. It's almost a perfect match. And then what I also did is for my bolts for my throttle body, so they'd match my supercharger, I went and got some zinc coated bolts. So it really gives a nice flow. It's very consistent theme through my engine compartment. Another mod I did was my strut covers. You can see here, these things, the stock ones are basically just a stamping, which just comes stock on all the Camaros. And this is actually a billet one. I cannot remember offhand who actually made those, but they're actually a really nice product. Real happy I went with it. It is anodized black, so it kind of matches my Elite catch can really well. So I really like the look of it. The other thing I did under the hood, some people like LED, some people don't. I did install some LED lighting. It's very discreet the way I have it wired. I have one right over the hood, and I also have one right in front of my radiator, which is very hard to see. And as for the line itself, because I'm not utilizing the windshield wiper bottle, I actually ran the line, the electrical line, right through the tube. So when it's shut off, you really don't even know it's there. But it's kind of a nice feature, you know, at night, you go to a car show, pull up, and I'm able to turn on, you know, for the fact that we don't have, you know, lights under our hood on these cars. That's about it all. I actually also, speaking of the LEDs, I did wind up installing them in the grill area too. So it's just kind of something that looks kind of neat at night, not for everyone. Just something I thought I would go with, just kind of set my car apart, like most of the other modifications I did. But I think for the most part, that is about it. I think I've covered just about everything on it. I'm not really quite sure what my next modifications will be for this car. I've, in my eyes, pretty much have done everything I wanted to do to it. I may down the road look at putting the ZL1 fuel pump in and trying to maybe increase the boost a little bit, but for right now, that's about it. It's been about a 4-year journey for me on this car, and that's probably where it's going to stay for right now. So thanks for watching, and subscribe to my YouTube page.